My name is Reverend Lezli Goodwin. If you do not know me, hey, welcome to New Vision Center. And if you do know me, hey, welcome to New Vision Center. I'm one of the senior ministers here. Our other senior minister is in Germany with her family right now, hopefully having an awesome time. Hey, Karen. What Jeff had to say today about radical inclusivity and what Linda had to sing this morning about there's only love is so up right now that I'm about ready to chuck my whole beautifully crafted talk. I assure you the outline is gorgeous. Because yet again, I've lost track of how many times it has been my Sunday to stand before us all in the wake of another mass murder situation. And as Linda and I spoke about this morning, how do we get up and sing there is only love? How do we get up and say God is all there is when we're seeing evidence of other things in the physical world around us? And yet we have to. We have to. Because if we believe what we say we believe, which is that we are all one, that on some level that is invisible to the human eye, every being is connected to every other being. It has to start somewhere. And as people who have chosen to live on the cutting edge of consciousness, as people who have chosen to look at something that appears to be intractable and say, no, I believe more than that. I believe bigger than that. I believe deeper than that. And I know. Ooh, it gives me something to slam around. I know. Unexpected benefits. I know that God is all there is. Or whatever your word for that is, spirit, the universe, infinity. I know that that is all that there is, and that even in the heart of someone so broken that they made the choice that was made in El Paso this week, that even there is the potentiality for that wholeness of love. Even there, in the heart of that person who must have been so sad and so lost and so lonely. That's the only place from which a decision like that can be made. So we have to come together in community and support one another in releasing this vibration that is high to lift everyone up with us. Yes? Yes. That is why we are here today. We're here to talk about the hugeness of the universe. If you are brand new, congratulations. This is kind of the perfect first talk because we're going to go to the very heart of the new thought belief system, to the very heart of the idea that one new thought makes everything different. The very basic belief underneath all of it is that, what did I call the talk? The universe is really huge. It's like way bigger than we think. Really, really, how big? Really, really big. It's huge. It's huge. And everything we talk about in New Thought hinges on the belief and understanding that that is true. Because this is how it can play out. And maybe this has happened for you or around you. Is somebody says, I want an amazing job. And a practitioner, a minister, a fellow congregant or class member says, well, you can have it. If you can imagine it, if you can think of it, you can have it. That's the whole basis of our book of the month, Infinite Possibilities by Mike Dooley. If you can imagine it, you can have it. And the person goes, yeah, but, well, no. No. If you imagine it, you can have it, right? Because we manifest and we put our energy into the universe, and what comes back to us is a reflection, and there's always more than enough. And they're like, yeah, but no. And where they get stuck, where we get stuck, is that there's always more than enough. Because I don't know what happened at your house, but at my house, if my mom made pie and everybody had their piece, there were no more pieces of pie left. So no matter how much I believed I could have more pie, either I, A, could in fact not have more pie, or B, and more likely, I ate my sister's pie. Sorry, Lindsay. And that's what we see, right? I want the promotion, but if I get the promotion, then that means Jenny doesn't get the promotion. I want the money, but if I get the inheritance, that means my cousin doesn't get the inheritance. That's what we see out in the world, right? But here's the thing. We're looking at the little postage stamp of the finite of our own personal life that we can see in front of us right now, this very second, with our human eyeballs, which is tiny compared to the hugeness of the universe. And if we can't wrap our brain around the faith in the infinitude of the universe, to use the phrase from my favorite guy, Emerson, the infinitude of the universe. Doesn't that just taste yummy in your mouth? Infinitude. If we can't wrap our brain around that, then we're just off the track. All the other logic falls apart. So we got to lock that in. How huge is huge? Because the universe, it's really, really huge. It's really huge. In fact, it is so huge, it's infinite. Now, many of us, myself included, struggled with the concept of infinity in math class in high school. Did you know that if you add all of the numbers together, all of the integers together, one number short of infinity, the number you get is really, 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 really huge. But if you add them all together, do you know what the total is? Close. -1. That's how incomprehensible it is. And that is why I was not a math major in college. Among so many other reasons. Figuring out infinity, it's the work of a lifetime because it requires letting go of the need to understand. So it's kind of the ultimate spiritual exercise, right? Because we like to understand. Is it just me? I'll speak for myself. I like to understand. I like to be able, I love Thomas Troward's writings. I love to be able to walk the logic out. And there is no logic to infinity. The best way I've found to explain to a child what infinity is think of the biggest number you could ever count to. Add 1. Add 1. Add 1. This could go on forever. Infinity is the biggest number you can't count to. Why can't you count to it? Because it's always making more of itself. So if we could pinpoint it in quantum physics, if we could pinpoint that number of infinity, first of all, if we can pinpoint it, it's not infinity. But if we could catch it like a lightning bug in a jar, it would immediately make more of itself. Because if it can be contained, it's not enough to hold all the possibilities of life. Whew. Have I broken anybody yet? Just a little bit? That's okay. That's what we do here. We break each other with love and then put each other back together with more love. We like to say that God, and by the way I'm using universe is as literally the universe. We can look at it through telescopes, but also as another name for the ineffable, the divine, the one mind, God. And so we say a lot, God is omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. God is all-powerful, all-knowing, and there is nowhere that it is not. Yes? So if the universe in which we live and move and have our being is everywhere, there's nowhere that it's not, and it knows everything, and it can do anything, is that enough for us to feel infinity? It is if we are willing to look away from the empty pie tin and look back at the idea of infinity. Because here's the thing. So, yeah, okay, I can empty a pie tin. It's happened. You don't get this without a little pie. This takes some work. But if we're focused on the empty pie tin, if that's where our attention is, then we are not focused on pie stores and bakeries and grocery stores and pie delivery services. They will bring you pie to your house now. Bring it right to you. We're letting go of free pie Wednesdays at our favorite Little Dive restaurant, right? We're letting go of baking and friends baking for us and gift pies. We're letting go of ice cream pie and stuffed animals shaped like pies. There are so many ways to get pie that don't involve that pie tin, but that's what we do. We hyper-focus on that pie tin, that job, that girl, that activity, that degree from that college, instead of looking up at the really, 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 really hugeness of the universe. Part of the reason we do that is because we are practical beings. Practical beings. We're logical beings. We're smart. We're educated. We see the evidence. The evidence is an empty pie tin. To think anything else, why, that's just superstitious. I don't need a supernatural being to give me pie. This is my favorite. My atheist children, who are the most New Thought atheist people you're ever going to meet in your life, will say to me, I don't need a supernatural being for my life to turn out okay. Correct. Yes, you're right. Here's something that we need to let go of as a collective group, and I invite you to join me on this path. We need to let go of the idea that God is supernatural. Supernatural means outside of natural, means not natural. And yet we talk about a God, use my air quotes, we talk about a God that is what everything is made of, is everywhere, knows everything, is in everything, has every capacity, everything that we are is that. We live in it, we breathe it, it breathes us. We can't get away from it. There's nothing else to be. There's nowhere to go where it isn't. It's in between every atom. How in the heck could that be supernatural? It's the most natural thing in the world. It's literally nature. Maybe it's that we call it that word God, but the truth is we currently, those of us in this room, live in the United States of America, and that's what we call it here. We call it God. I understand why a lot of people don't like to call what we talk about here God, because it can pull us back into that supernatural thinking. So call it whatever you want. We keep telling you that. Spirit, the one. My daughter wrote an awesome spiritual mind treatment, an invocation that talked about tenacity, capital T, tenacity. That was her word for the divine that day, because that's how it showed up for her. Call it whatever you want. But start getting comfortable with the idea that there's no getting away from it. It's natural. Let's work with it. Let's work with it. The universe is infinite. So how does that work? How does that work? Ernest Holmes has this beautiful quote from an early book he wrote called Creative Mind. It says, God is infinite spirit, self-knowing mind, life, truth, intelligence, love, all cause and all effect. That invisible power which makes all things out of itself by an interaction of its own thought upon itself. It makes things out of itself by thinking into itself. How? How does it think into itself? If only it had been capable of creating a whole host of beings that had its same creative thought capacity to think thoughts into it. If only. Because that's what we are. That's why we are. Anybody ever wonder, what's the point? Why am I here? I am here to think thoughts, to express into the divine so that the divine can experience that creation. That's why we're here. Which is why we can't do it wrong. Because no matter what we think into the divine that it brings forth and creates, it gets to experience that. And it wouldn't have otherwise. It gets to experience sad things and happy things and wounded things and healed things and rich things and poor things and creative things and lying on the couch and watching Veronica Mars. And obviously it wanted that, or it wouldn't have made us to do that. It likes it so much, it keeps making more of us out of itself. And we can, and we're completely free to, be small and focus on the empty pie tin. There's nothing wrong with that. The only person who gets less is us. So if that is our choice, that's completely fine. And we also have the option to look up and see if the universe keeps creating more out of itself. Do I need to worry about eating my sister's pie? No. No. Maybe briefly. Is my sister in the room? Maybe in that 5-minute window. Here's the deal. I don't have to eat my sister's pie. I can just go get more pie. I can let go of the need to take what is somebody else's because I know that mine is out there. And if it's not, what will the universe do? Make it. Make it. Do I have to know how that's going to happen? No. Why? Why would I focus on the how? That's none of my business. Mike Dooley, the author of our book of the month, says, stay away from the cursed hows. It's none of my business. How has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with you. Our job is to want it and to know that it's out there somehow. That's it. That's our whole job. It's not even a hard job. If we can keep from looking at the empty pie tin or the stack of bills or the divorce decree or the MRI or whatever it is that we need to stop focusing on the limited beliefs of people who don't know what we know. The wonderful thing is when we come together in spiritual community, we have a whole group of people who do know what we know, who are here to hold one another high so that we have that support. When somebody says, oh, no, you don't want to do that. That sounds like a scary thing, and you might not have enough fill in the blank. Money, time, resources. You've got the friends sitting in the rows around you to go, don't even worry about it. You got this. The universe is on your side. The entire energy of the cosmos is conspiring for your good right now. And all you have to do is want it and believe that it can happen. And in a universe of infinite possibilities that is really, 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 really big, it keeps getting bigger, more reallys. It's creating more of itself with every really. In a universe that big, there's nothing you cannot have. It won't hold it back from you because you think you're not good enough. It won't. Ernest Holmes wrote, just as the infinite knows neither big nor little, it knows neither good, better, nor best. There can be no infinite intelligence which recognizes one person as having more merit than another. There can be no infinite intelligence that recognizes one idea as being more valuable than another. The universe doesn't differentiate between $5 and $5 million and $5 trillion. Why are we looking at the empty pie tin? Want it? Believe it's available. So why does this matter to us? Because this is all very interesting, I'm sure, but it doesn't really mean anything until we figure out how it matters to us. One is that all of manifesting, all of creating the life that we want, which is usually the reason we show up at a place like this, it all hinges on this belief. If we don't believe that the universe can bring us whatever it is that we press into it with our thoughts, the whole shebang falls apart. It's a faith issue. If there is a part of you that believes this, and then there's a part of you going, which is really normal, right? Because our culture is a very kind of culture. It tells us that's magical thinking. Seen that one in the news lately? Magical thinking. Good. I like magical thinking. Magical thinking means we are unlimited. Let's keep that magical thinking going so loud and so bright and so strong that people start to realize that just like there's nothing supernatural about God, there is nothing supernatural about magic. Magic means that we don't know how it happened, but it happened. We call it manifesting. It's the same thing. So if somebody accuses you of magical thinking, treat it appropriately and thank them. Perhaps get them some pie. The second big reason is that our behaviors directly reflect our beliefs. How we show up in the world, not just on the inside, but on the outside, directly reflects our beliefs. Competition, martyrdom, unnecessary sacrifices. Oh, I've given it all up so that my family can have pie. Apathy. There will just never be enough pie. Racism. Racism is a reflection of not believing that there is enough in the universe. Those people are going to take my pie. And then my family won't have enough pie. They're going to take up all the bakery jobs. They're going to take up all the delivery jobs. They're going to mill all the flour, and there will be nothing left for my people. Got to get rid of those people. Them, the other, the people that are not my job to watch out for. But if we believe, if we know that there is more than enough in a universe that is capable of creating more out of itself every time we run low, there is no need to protect our families from people who just also want to protect their families. What happened in El Paso is so horribly senseless and pointless because it is based on a lie. We do not need to chase away the Mexicans in that particular case, or the Jews, or the Muslims, or the Puerto Ricans, or the whoever is on the list that day. That lie is based in the belief that they can take what's ours because there isn't enough to go around, and it is a lie. And if there is any part of us in that deep, dark shadow place that still believes that lie, we are a part of the problem. And the job we sign up for by coming to a place like this, the job we sign up for is to be a part of the energetic solution, to root out of ourselves in every place we possibly can any belief that there is anything that God cannot solve. That is the place where we can make change. And from that consciousness, then we can step out into the world and march our marches or do our food drives, or provide showers, or help young women get out of trafficking situations, or stand guard at the border, or whatever else our individual hearts are called to do. But until we're coming from that place, that I am a stand as God, as the infinite universe, not for, not the idea of, but that I'm showing up in service as the divine in infinite form. That's the place from which we make real change. When we see people showing up at that level of truth, we listen. When we see people show up at that level of truth, we follow that action. Yes? That is what we're called to do. It is not a small job. But the good thing is, we do not do it alone. We, in fact, do not do it. We are a yes to God doing it as us. Final quote from Ernest Holmes today. All Ernest Holmes all day long today. The universe withholds nothing from anyone. It is all delivered. This is what I interpret as grace. Because the universe is itself an infinite givingness. It can't help it. And through that grace, as that grace, when we show up in the world with the intention to be a representation of the infinite lovingness, the infinite peace, the infinite infinity of the universe, that grace resonates through us in a way that is profoundly healing. And that is the job to which I am committed. Are you with me? Yes. Wonderful. So our call to action, look for evidence that what I say is true. Look in your life, not at the pie tin, but at all the places and all the people's lives where more just appears. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Look for the evidence. Build your faith. And when you're ready, step forward from that place and be the grace. And so it is. So let's take that into prayer. Here is what I know. That there is one ineffable and infinite presence that makes itself known in and through and as all of life. Every person is an expression of the divine in its full potentiality, that the core of love and peace and truth and wisdom and beauty and freedom are right there, seated into the very center of every single human being. And what I know is that the love that radiates from this community, from each beloved within the sound of my voice, that it vibrates at such a level that it is an invitation to anyone that does not know this truth to lift their eyes up from what appears to be missing and see the infinite goodness. That the vibration in this room itself calls the hearts of each beloved here to open a little bit further, to know a little bit more the truth of the divine in and through and as us. And that radiation of love and of goodness, of purity, of loving kindness, that it spreads out throughout the city and state and nation and world in such a way that hearts who have been so focused on what is not can see what is. That weapons fall away and anger falls away and the need to control and compete and steal and take and fight fall away. It's all based on a lie. And I know that the truth is radiating ever brighter here this morning. I am so thankful to know that this truth in each one of our lives provides for us more than we ever could have expected. And that there is always even more than that right there in our individual lives, in the life of this community, in the life of the world. So I invite us to know it together, to know it profoundly as the absolute truth, as we say together. And so it is.